All right. Hello and welcome to the Foundations of Business, Unit number 3, Electronic Presentations. Presentation lecture. In this presentation lecture, we will go over some of the formatting guidelines on how to build electronic presentations using Microsoft PowerPoint. So make sure that you have the guided notes along with you as we get started so that you can jot some things down in regards to formatting of electronic presentations in PowerPoint. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So when it comes to electronic presentations, what we are going to go over is how to create text slides, insert illustrations, create diagrams and tables, create charts and graphs, as well as create and deliver the presentation itself. Let's break this up into different parts as we go through the different portions of electronic presentations. Now, when it comes to PowerPoint, PowerPoint is an excellent program that includes with it different themes. So within a theme, themes are going to have preset fonts and font sizes, places for keying information, background design, as well as even color schemes. So finding a design theme that fits your presentation information best is obviously a portion of designing and formatting a presentation. Now, as well as with design themes, you got to understand that the preset items can be changed to better fit the needs of the user. So there can be modifications made within these themes as well. Once a theme is selected, it is not locked in with that particular formatting. So using design themes gives a presentation a professional appearance. Now this doesn't mean that you have to use a design theme. You can create your own design themes, or you can even use blank presentations as well. Now when it comes to the slide layout, this is the way that the text and the graphics are arranged on the slide. These can be selected from a number of different possibilities and selections. Some of the more common layout slides will include a title slide, title and content, section header, to content, comparison, title only, blank, content with caption. So a lot of these different functions are also available in Google Slides. However, PowerPoint does offer a few more options that Google Slides does not. And then also picture with caption. All right, the design themes will look like this. Now, when you get to this window, notice how it gives a little bit of an illustration of the different themes to select. Now, most of the presentations that you will be creating for practice will indicate the specific type of design theme as well as the type of slide to use when building your presentation. Now, some of the design templates that you will see could be a number of different options. In this case, we take a look at this slide on the right. The one on the left doesn't seem to be showing quite the way that it is supposed to, but this is definitely a theme. Notice the border, notice the bar in the middle, notice how it indicates the title as well as the subtitle. Now, normal view when you open up PowerPoint is going to be the outline view. Unfortunately, it is not showing here in this slide. For some reason, when I opened up the presentation to do the lecture, for some reason it did not come over. But you will see this as examples in your textbooks when you start building presentations. And the same thing if you change the normal view to slides. It's going to be a little bit different, but you will see where you can make those changes to the views and how your presentation is displayed on your screen. Slide sorter view is another one. Depending upon what you were trying to do in terms of the formatting of your presentation, these different views could come in handy. Oh man, this is terrible. I was really hoping that this would look a little bit better. But the slide show view, this is used to see how the slides will look on your screen. This is kind of a preview of what the presentation would look like once you have it going live. So hopefully this is going to give you an accurate depiction of what it could look like. For this situation, it did not. So it's not always going to be perfect. Now on the bottom, once you get into the view presentation, you will find that there are different view buttons. Once again, they are not showing here. But once you have PowerPoint open on your screen, you will see these different buttons where you can go to slideshow view, you can go to slide sorter, or you can go to normal view. Now when you are building a presentation, almost always you are going to want a title slide. So the presentation should begin with a title slide and should include the presentation title, the presenter's name, and any other relevant information that needs to be displayed on this particular slide. Title, content, and layout, which is a slightly different type of a layout. This is a use of lists to guide discussion. It can keep information brief and be concise. Whenever you are building a presentation, please do not insult your audience's intelligence, indicating that you need to read to them the slides. Please assume that your audience can read the information on your slides, so this is more of just a guideline of what you want to cover, but the majority of the presentation is going to be covered in your explanation, in your verbalization of what you are trying to get across. All right, so when it comes to title and content layout, these are some things you want to focus on. So when creating lists, make sure to focus on one main idea. Add several supporting items. Limit the number of lines on one slide to 6 if you can. Limit long wraparound lines of text. So these are just some formatting guidelines when you are building different slides in your presentation. There's different design templates that are available. Here's a couple of examples. So this is the same presentation using a different template. So notice how, depending upon what you are looking for in terms of a presentation template, you have a bunch of different options that you can pick from. When it comes to graphics, we can also insert graphics to accentuate our presentations. So we might use graphics when they are relevant to the topic. They contribute to the presentation. They're not distracting to the audience. They're creative and they're in good taste. An image is not necessary in every slide in a presentation. However, if it does enhance the content that's being presented, then they should be used. All right, so when it comes to inserting photographs, these could be downloaded, these could be taken, they might even be taken off of the internet. Make sure to consider the audience, consider the subject, consider the equipment, and consider the facilities. So when you are using any type of graphic, whether or not it is clip art or a photo, you definitely want to follow these certain guidelines to make sure that it does enhance and apply to your presentation. Now you can also use shapes in clip art. One thing about Microsoft Office that's really nice is that these are available in all of the different programs, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So we can use these at any time, and we can use them in PowerPoint presentations as well. They are ready-made shapes, and they can be inserted into your PowerPoint presentation to use as pointing devices, possibly to accentuate certain points in your presentation that you make sure you want to cover and you want to emphasize their importance. Sometimes you can use decorative box borders or call attention to certain contents on the box or show a flow of particular data that you are trying to communicate or present. So in this case, we have various types of sizes to show levels of importance and then kind of flowing into the very types of sizes to show different levels of importance as well. So if these two boxes were going to be working off of each other, it's a natural progression to see the arrow, move to the next one, and kind of follow through the content as it's being presented. We can also format backgrounds. So you can use different backgrounds to format. You can use colors, you can use pictures, and you can also use different effects such as solid, gradient, and picture text fill, which we will be going over and practicing throughout the course of this unit. There's also choice diagrams. So when we are analyzing data, we might put something like this in there. So a choice diagram, we have option 1 versus option 2. If you want to ask your audience a question, you might ask the question and then ask them to select so that you can get feedback on your presentation and the content that you are presenting. It shows a choice between the two options, and it can portray a decision point or even a conflict. You can also do stair-steps diagrams. So this is, for example, could show a progression. First step versus second step, third and fourth step, and how we can get to these different steps. So this is another option to use and a way to use graphics to enhance a presentation. Flowcharts. So if you are looking to present a process, you can show steps in a process which are connected by arrows as well as the pictures and shapes. Each shape might have a certain meaning, but obviously the arrows are going to indicate where we start, where we go to next until we finally finish. We can also insert tables. So we use tables in Microsoft Word. We can actually insert other files from other Microsoft Office programs into our presentation. This can organize information to compare and contrast facts and figures, or even just list data. Sometimes graphs too. Data can be better represented in a visual form such as a bar graph, line and area graph, or even a pie chart. So depending upon the type of data that's being analyzed and the comparison that needs to be made could impact the type of graph or chart that is used in the presentation. So for example, let's take a look at this graph. So we have the x-axis, we have the scale, we have the y-axis. We have a tick mark. The tick mark is going to indicate the different levels on the y-axis itself. We have a legend, which is going to communicate to the individuals who are viewing what the bars represent, as well as the data labels that are going to exist on the x-axis. Line graphs are a little bit different. They are normally used to analyze data and changes over time and distance. Usually the x-axis is going to show time and the y-axis is going to show the measurement. The baseline of the y-axis should always be 0 in these instances. Lines connect the values on the graph to reflect the changes in the amounts. The grid allows the viewer to be able to see the vertical lines and help the viewer interpret the quantities. Several sets of data can be displayed using lines, which makes it a very, very attractive option when you are analyzing data. And then finally, various options are available for placing titles, legends, and even labels on the line graphs. Here is an example of how they can be displayed in a slide to represent different pieces of data. Notice how there can also be colors and blocks to put in there to help with the display of the data on the slide. Pie charts are another one, very, very commonly used. These are best used to display data as a whole that can show proportional relationship between a set of values within a particular data set. Now, pie charts without any numbers displayed, it will show general relationships. Obviously, whenever we have any type of chart or bar graph, but specifically pie charts, we want to be as detailed as possible. So we use different colors used for the different pie slices, which are identified in a legend, and then the colors used to coordinate the rest of the presentation. Now, when it comes to presentation delivery, obviously, as an individual, we want to prepare and practice. We want to know our message. We want to look at the audience. We want to look confident. Again, the biggest point and the biggest piece of advice I can give to anybody giving a presentation is don't insult your audience's intelligence that they can't read what's on your slide. Giving a presentation is not creating a bunch of slides and then just reading them what's on it. It's a guide. It's a tool to navigate through a presentation. Make sure to let your personality come through. You are giving a presentation, so let them see your enjoyment and obviously the importance of the data that you are presenting. Vary the volume to help with accentuating certain points. Use gestures and facial expressions as well, and then know how to use all of the visuals in the PowerPoint program to accentuate the data that you are presenting using the presentation program. And that concludes the presentation for the electronic presentations. We will stop here and make sure that you have the note guide completed and then submit it in Google Classroom once it is completed. And I will see you next time we meet in